I was 6 or 5 years old. It was one of my very first memories. It's crazy because the more I try to actually look back, this is literally the earliest memory I can go back to. I was getting woken up out of my sleep and I just saw flames. My mother was like, "We gotta go, we gotta go." She grabs me, picks me up, and literally just runs out the house. Right? What was so insane about that entire series of events was I didn't fully understand what was going on, obviously, at the time. And unfortunately, the fire department, they couldn't make it in time before the house burned down. So nothing was saved. RIP, all of my stuff. However, good news, no one was harmed in the fire because it wasn't just my mother and I, it was also my grandmother, grandfather, both my uncles, auntie, and a family friend and her son. Yes, it was a lot of people in that household. But it's crazy. It's definitely a crazy thing to think about sometimes, y'all, because that's really my first memory. Like I cannot think of any other memory after that. And then a couple years, I never really thought about it until the Tuesdays podcast, and when I was talking, I was talking about I might go ahead and do a section on fires because too many of us don't know what to do with a fire when it happens. And we also don't even know what type of fires that there are because there are different types. Got gas, electrical. So, anyway, there was another time, right, where at this point I'm a lot older now. I'm in high school. Next thing you know, I hear my mother yelling, telling me to go grab our neighbor, right? And I go out there, and the stove is on fire. The fucking stove, y'all. And when I tell y'all, I said, fuck that. I started grabbing the damn, the stove on my own. I started dragging it to the backyard. I'm like, man, fuck this. I'm about to damn, the hell I look like trying to go run outside, get the neighbor and y'all. And it looks, and grandmother, she was pouring water on it. It was not the type of fire that you use water for. So therefore, she definitely made the fire spark a lot more. And when I tell y'all that fire was like it was about to fuck up the house. And I'm like, nah, man, I need to get this out of here. So we get it outside. Once we get it outside, we realized that it was actually a grease fire because she did end up going to get the neighbor or whatever, and he told us that it was a grease fire. We used I think it was, I don't remember. It was salt. Yeah, he said throw salt on it for a grease fire or whatever, right? I never really thought about it until, like I said, a couple years later, and then until I'm telling Popsicles about it basically. And this is also the same night when he taught me the skins and the types of burns and all that shit because we learned about the fires first. I was just curious, like, what the fuck? Because I was like, what the hell do you even do in the case of a fucking fire? Because there's so many different ones. Obviously, you don't use water for an electrical fire. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna fuck yourself up. And if you disagree with me, then you can go look these things up yourself. You don't use water for no electrical fire. Anyway, um, it's like, damn, what the hell do I use for a gas fire, right? Because I didn't even know that there was a grease fire at first. Because I told him the story the same way I'm telling y'all. But when I told him I threw salt on it, he was like, "What the fuck? No, you throw fucking um something else on the fire. However, it wasn't the fire that I thought it was. So then that's when I had the bright idea because I'm a curious person. So I had the idea like, you know what type of fire am I talking about? Because I was like, okay, cool, woo 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 wop. And I ended up just going ahead and assumed that, what he was saying was actually what I meant. So I was like, all right, well, I could have sworn, because I remember, like, as clear as day that I threw salt on that fire, or that we threw salt on it to help extinguish it, right? And by the time the fire department got there, like I said, we've already had it handled, so they were just, all right, well, good job, basically. Like, what else can they do at that point? Anyway, moving on. I later came to realize that it actually was a grease fire, and I was, it was salt that I was throwing. I said, all right, cool. So it was just, so now I'm curious. Now I'm inquisitive. I'm like, man, what the hell? So how many different types of fires are there? And like, what do you do for them? Because these are things that the common person don't think about. We don't think about what the fuck kind of fire that this is. We don't think about like when should we like what should we do in case of a fire, because for some of us fires are so rare until we don't need to think about it, but at the same time this is an important thing. Like my first memory was my fucking house getting burned down, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what would have happened if if my family would have actually known what kind of fire it was, or and what to do. Maybe we could have saved the house. Maybe my whole life would have ended up turning out differently. I'm glad it didn't, because for the most part, that chain of events triggered a whole different other chain of events that ultimately led to me being the person I am now. It's crazy when you think about it like that, right? Like, if it wasn't for that fire, I would have had a completely different life. I probably would have never met Popsticles. I probably would have never even did Tilo's talks. I probably would have never became as inquisitive about it. Who knows? We're all born out of tragedies. But anyway, this is not a story time. This is Tilo's talk. So now let's get into the talk. I just wanted to give y'all some background information on what even made me decide to think about doing this, because like I said, people aren't thinking about these things. They're not thinking about, oh, this is fucking fire, let's do it. No. So anyway, there are there are types of fires, and then there's classes of fires, right? So let's talk about the types of fires. You got a gas fire, and what you do for a gas fire, it's not obvious. My apologies, y'all. I didn't mean to say obvious. It's a force of habit. I'm working on it. You saw I'm mindful though. I hurry up and stopped myself. And he almost farmed me, his fucking shitty ass. But you got a gas fire, and what you do for a gas fire is you can throw flour on it. I'm going to go more in depth when I get to the classes, but just know that flour, it helps with the gas fires. Alright, so that's boom. Number two, you got grease fire. For grease fire, you can throw salt or baking soda on it. And yeah, that's about it. For three, you got an electrical fire, right? Obviously, you're not throwing water on no fucking electrical fire. However, what you want to do is you can also throw baking soda on this type of fire, or you can use a heavy blanket without oxygen. So I don't know if that means a special type of blanket or whatever. I really didn't do too much research into that particular part, but I will leave that open to y'all, and for y'all to do research on, because like I said, this is a serious thing. Like, I really could have, I could have gotten hurt. Someone else could have gotten hurt. And if we would have just known what to do on our own instead of, hoping for someone else to come and save us, then, like I said, my life would have ended up being way different. And once again, I'm not trying to say that that's a bad thing, but at the end of the day, this is something that happens in plenty of not just American lives, but y'all see the wildfires that fucking happen. This is crazy, and this is a problem. And anyone that don't think it's a problem, y'all need to do more research about the world that we're living in, because there's a lot going on that obviously that y'all don't know about. So there are different classes of fires, right? You got basically A. Uh, they vary from class A, class B, class C, class D, and class K. There is no class E. All right, because in my notes I did actually put class A through K, but no, that was wrong. It's okay though. I'm not even reading my notes for a majority of this. Yeah, I feel like y'all can tell when I'm reading my notes, because when I'm reading my notes, I start sounding a little less confident about what I'm saying because I have to look at my notes and actually read them, even though that I've took them and I comprehend them. But blah 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 blah. Class A. So a class A fire, it involves hard materials such as wood, clothing, paper, plastic, you know, and that's about it. However, you also got class B fly, blah, you got class B flyers, which are flammable liquids such as alcohol and oils. And I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Like, and don't get me wrong, y'all can call me sped all you want or whatever, but I really did not know that alcohol was flammable. And I actually used to put alcohol, like I used to actually put hand sanitizer on my hand and light it and watch the flame arise. So the fact that even I still didn't even realize that it was flammable, that's obviously that's my own ignorance, you know. So I'm really glad that me and Pastus had this conversation because I was dead ass alleviated from my ignorance. And with that being said, I'm really doing her ass, ain't it? Look, she about to swing. Oh no. Whoops. Class C fire involves electricity. So therefore you can just think, electrical fire for that one. Class D fire starts with metal ignitions. Ignitions? Is that even? Because that's not what I have in my notes. I'm just trying to freestyle a little bit. But when I say it ignites using metals, so this means that the temperatures that take. Hold on, let me read. So basically, objects or metals that takes really high temperatures, such as aluminum. You know what I'm saying? Aluminum could it would, like, if there was some type of aluminum fire or whatever, that would be classified as a class D fire, basically. Which is very interesting because I didn't know that. I didn't know any of this stuff that I'm telling y'all about, honestly. And it's crazy because once again, this is a serious topic, and I know this Tilo talk is actually going to be a lot shorter because there's not really too much to say about fires. But I want my channel to be a very, like, not just a channel where I'm playing the game and shitting on killers, talking all kinds of shit about the killers and everything. But I also want my channel to be a place where we can learn, where we can come together and shed some light on a lot of whether it's misconceptions, talk about types of conspiracies, just make conversations, because there's too many of us that don't, have conversations about certain things, and it's like we definitely should. We should conversate about everything, really, if you ask me, because conversating is how we start to learn. Because we can learn from everyone, whether we know more knowledge than someone. That's only in a specific thing, They at some point they're gonna get to like a subject topic to where they know more than you. So either way it go, you just gotta be mindful of that, because it's really easy to be like, oh yeah, I know everything, and you don't know what you're talking about and stuff like that. But we can all learn from each other, man, and we got to get out of that mentality. We got to get out of that ego and the biasness that we have, because just because we're right about something, we're very passionate about that thing we're right about, it does not mean that we still can't learn from someone. But anyway, to continue on, okay, oh, that was it, class K. A class K involves cooking liquids such as grease. And now, uh, class A, B, and C fires can be put out using extinguishers. So as you see, when the fire department they comes and they use the fire extinguishers. Well, hold on, no, they don't. They use a hydro hose. Whoopsies. Actually, I don't know what they use. I'm not gonna try to claim like I know because I really don't. Anyways, Class D fires can be put out using water, foam, dry powder, or carbon dioxide. I don't know if there's more things. If I missed anything, do let me know in the comments. But for the most part, those are the things that they can definitely consist of, be used to put out. So yeah, boom. And last but not least, cascade fires. They can be put out using extinguishers and dry powders, such as just regular powder, baking soda, etc. And like I said, y'all, this was a very short Tilo's talk, and I just wanted to try to shed some light on this because there's a lot of people out there that don't know about the different types of fires, and some people will actually try to put water on every fire, thinking that that's okay, and that's not okay, y'all. I need y'all to understand that. You do not put water on every fire. I actually knew a person like that and got in, a heated it was an argument. It was a heated argument about why they shouldn't do that. Why they shouldn't put water on every fire. And this was before I even knew about the different types of fires. I knew that every fire wasn't the same. I just didn't know exactly what fire consisted of what. You know, I don't even know how to really put it in words. I just knew for a fact that ooh, I did his that. I just knew for a fact that that was ignorant of him to actually think that you use water for any fire because you don't. So with that being said, y'all, I really hope y'all got some type of knowledge out of this because I really want to be more than just a YouTuber that talks a bunch of junk and you know, all I do is do the killers like how you see right here. Eventually, I want to get my own podcast studio, but for now, this will work, and this is also innovative. So if y'all did like, just y'all don't even have to leave a like, just share it with everyone else, because everyone don't know this information. And with that being said, y'all, I will see you guys in the next one, and I will see you all later.